welcome to this series of videos. So today we will be talking about the static analysis of the Android application. So we will see how we are going to perform the code analysis, and we'll also see how the hard-coded sensitive informations are left behind. So mostly the developers, when they develop the application, or for the debugging purpose, sometimes they leave the comments, or they leave the sensitive information hard coded in the application source code. And also we'll also, there is a chances like 70 to 80% chances that the mobile application uh, test cases, right? So we are going to do the analysis on the source code. Now maybe it is an intentional purpose, or for from the developer, or unintentionally sometimes they leave out the comments of like the application uh, credentials, so or the API keys or the cloud bucket keys. So basically when we get this access, a malicious attacker can authenticate into the server and then do the malicious stuff. So basically we will be checking all the source code. We'll analyze the source code, whatever the comments are left behind. Not only the comments, we'll see how what are the functions that the applications are being called, whether the default configuration are turned on. Now taking a country relay tab for my testing, or we'll analyze the uh, APK source code. So let me search for APK. Okay, so here we got the country delight from apkpure.com. So let me download the APK country delight. It's a mail delivery application, so we see it in our all the advertisements up there. So this APK. So now it is successfully downloaded. So what I'm going to do now is I'll be switching to ZX. So going to the terminal, I'll clear this out. I just We can use a CLI command or GUI, so based on the installation. So as I have already shown you the installation part of the ZX earlier in my videos, you can refer those. Also you can use the ZX command, how you can decompile the source code. So for our understanding today, we'll be using ZX-GUI. So after the installation, I'm just hitting ZX-GUI, so it will pick up the ZX-GUI version, and then we are going to import the APK file. Now as you can see, the dashboard is up. Now please open a file. Either you can drag and drop, or you can click on or you can add a file. So let me click on open files. I'll go to my uh, country delight tab, so it will be in my downloads folder. Yeah, this is the one, app.my country delight application. So I'll just open it up. It will take a little bit of time to open, as it will decompile the code and produce the result out here. So now the JADX has decompiled the source code. So now if you see, so there is a thing like, if this application is developed in Android, you'll see that the Java codes, you'll see all the Java codes present here. But if the application is developed in React Native, then you'd probably see it in a folder, like it will be all the JavaScript that you can see inside a folder under the resource assets, and you'll be getting it here in the something as a index.android.bundle. So in that bundle you'll see all the script files or the source codes. Now since this is a uh, Android application, and so this is again a Kotlin. As you can see here, this is a Kotlin language. You can see the Kotlin folders, properties and all. You can see the resources bundle. Under the resource, you can see all the resources over here. Now if the application is again developed on Flutter, you'd see probably the library files, lib.so. So you'll see the library files and the source code. Now let's discuss about this application source code. Okay, now this is an application, and this is developed on the Android application and the Kotlin language. You can see all the resources here, assets here. You can see the Android manifest file. You can see the classes files, classes text file, classes 3.x file, Firebase files, Firebase properties, and a lot many. Now, if we talk about the Android manifest file, the first thing first. So Android manifest file will describe all the elements that is used inside the application, all the structure of the Android. Now there are few things that we can consider here, and Android manifest file give a lot more information about the Android version name, SDK version, and you can also see the permissions and all. So let's search for some of the default configuration when you are analyzing. We as an security guy, we can check whether the application is debug mode is enabled or not. So you can do a search here. We can do search parameter here. You can or else we can do a control F and you can search for debug. So if there is nothing, there is no debug method is enabled here. Otherwise it would have displayed as a debuggable true. So as we are checking here for the debug method, so uh, debug is a permission that would allow the developer to debug the application during the testing or the staging stage. So sometimes keeping this as true would provide the malicious person to search for the sensitive information, or they can gain access to sensitive folders where they can uh, do a lot of malicious stuff like gaining the access to uh, performing a denial of service, or like gaining backdoor entry of to the application where they can do a malicious stuff later on. So this debug method is the first step where we can check what are the methods that is being present, like whether the debug method is on or not. And let's check it out for backup. We'll see if the backup is enabled or not. So as you can see here, Android allow backup is set to false, right? So if the backup is enabled to true, then an attacker gaining my device access can perform the backup completely of this application, and then they can do a malicious attack, right? Right. So there are many things that you can also do. We can also search for API keys if we have anything, or we can search for keys. Okay. So now we can also search for, let's say, um, secret something with secret credentials or secret keys. So there is nothing set here. So we have to do a search. We can also search for the uh, database credentials or admin, if anything we are getting with related to admin or something like that credentials. So control F, doing a control F and finding the finding gives a filtered out result, so we can search for the information pretty much. Another area is to check for the user permissions, where we can have a check on this permission level, like during the runtime, what is the permissions required or what are the permissions are granted to the application. We can have a check on here because sometimes the application is asking for writing the data to an unauthorized storage or to an external storage. So we have to understand the requirement of the application, and basically we can check for the permission. These are the permissions that usually will be asked to the user during the runtime. So we can have a check and understand the permissions here. Now next set of areas are the activity here. So in the activity here, like we have to see the what are the activities that the application is performing, like as the application communicates with other application within the device. So like considering the payment application. So when you are purchasing from a commercial website, you are making a payment through a payment gateway. So you are communicating with another applications to make a payment. So there are few things to consider, like as we know the components like broadcast receiver and service provider, uh, services, broadcast receiver, content provider, and activities. So we have to consider these three things, like these four things. What is the application behaving? Purpose? What is the purpose of the applications to communicate with the other applications? And that can be also vulnerable, or we can say that can be also attack. Can an attacker can manipulate through the uh, function, one of the function called export. So when we search, we can search for the export, and we'll see what is export. Like here, as we can see, android.exported is set to false, so that is approved. So now we cannot say that if the Android.exported is equals to true is actually a vulnerable, or the application can be attacked. That depends on the information that is being passed to other applications, like if there are any sensitive information being passed or not. So we have to understand the behavioral pattern. So that is all like the how the application is communicating. So this is true that when we are communicating from a commercial applications to a payment gateway, so what all information is requested, what is being sent, so we are not passing any other sensitive information apart from that. So it should not leak the information, which is why we have to check whether if the Android exported is true, then what are the information that is being communication, or what is the information that is being passed are uh, not higher than what is required. If any information is leaked, then it could be used maliciously. So that has to be used, and it also depends on the activities, actions, like what the actions you took, and this has to be performed again through the intents is just the communication or the data transfer between one activity to another activity. Yeah, now coming next to, so we'll have to check, like we'll have to check, put an eye on all these activity services, what they are doing, what they're capable of, what information that is being sent. So we have to check all the things in the this particular Android.manifest file. So there is one more thing to check when the application, like when they define the Google Analytics or Google APIs like Firebase. So sometimes they disclose the API keys. Like the API keys, we have to check whether sometimes what happens that the API keys is reused in other applications, and the so that has to be checked. So like the API keys is only dedicated to a particular um, set of activities or set of applications, so it should not be reused in another application, so that will cause information leakage. So we have to make sure that the API keys are properly used, right? Now one more thing to talk about is, like, we'll go to the resources, and we'll go to the resources folder, and here under the values we'll go to the strings.xml. So here you can see all the strings that is being used in the applications are all described here. So as you can see here, there are a lot of strings being used. So what are the things that we can see is like the addresses, the frequencies, the GPS is disabled or enabled, first fragment. So what are else they are using? They are using the location information, license information. So whenever there is an application or the call is being made to this particular name, then the key value is being passed, or the information is being passed from the strings.xml file. So here all the XML content in this strings.xml, all you can see is all the strings that is being used. Now there one more things to check here is like do check for Firebase URLs. So whenever this Firebase is used in the application, you might see some Firebase URLs. So as you can see, the database URL, so always check for these URLs because of sensitive information. So we have to check whether it is being what this information exactly is this in the URL, if it is not unauthenticated or an authenticated URL. This one check we have to do. And then in earlier days there was also a vulnerable parameter that was there in the Firebase, was like a .json, where it to give all the sensitive information of the applications to the user. So just by appending a .json folder, it would display all the information. Now let me load the browser. Let me copy it down. So as I said, we'll be checking for the JSON parameters, which is a mandatory check. So what we will do is we'll just append .json, and we'll see if there is anything vulnerable appearing. So here it is the permission denied. So they have implemented proper implementation. So earlier .json would uh, reveal the authentication information, reveal the uh, uh, information related to the application. So there would be a leakage here in the JSON file. Now what we will do is we'll check for the API. So that will be an API. Let's see. We'll get an API key. This is being used. Also, you can check for the API keys uniqueness here. So API key is used here, and there are certain scenarios that the application API keys will be used in other this API keys will be used in other application like Google Map or Google Cloud. You can validate this Google API key, and you can search for the available API keys that are in the URL string or the Google platform is using, and then you can validate it. So earlier the API keys was getting passed in the URL, so which we could able to see, but now it seems like they have implemented some changes, which is why the API key is not passed in the URL. Otherwise you could have validated and checked for any information leakage for this. Now there are certain parameters as well that you can see under the resource, like banks.json, info.txt, test.html. So you can check this file particularly, like what informations are getting passed, or if there are any information that is being left out by the developer before pushing it into the production. So you can always have a check on this particular files. So now if we look at the application, also provide us the capability to do a magic search here. So if you click on this, and if you search for any secret key or something, then the application will tell you whether there is anything matching this keyword secret. So it is currently searching, as you can see here. It is searching for the secret keys. So secret, we did not see anything suspicious here, so there's nothing suspicious here. So let's search for secret underscore key. Doing a search here. So what happens is when we do a search, so probably we'll get something uh, secret keys or the passwords or the AWS bucket keys. So again, getting the keys will lead to bypass of the authorization or authentication attack. So we'll check, then searching, let the search completes. So as of now we are just searching the code here, so let's search in the resource and comments as well. Let it be finish. Just cancel it for now, and we'll search check it again, but this time we'll give resource and comments. We'll see if there are anything secret. Secret keys, okay, these are again the functions. So com.google, this will be like more secure. We can, even though if we click on here, and if we go to this particular package, you see this is the uh, call, this is the call that is being made on this security key. And if you see here, these are like the function calling, right? These are like setting up the variables values. Okay, so we are looking for the hard-coded secrets, if anything. So we can search for passwords. So this is again toggle the intent history password, I design hybrid hide password. So these are all like, okay, nothing suspicious as of now. These are like all the static values that is being passed. uh, okay, this you can see here the password. Okay, enumeration. Okay, these are the values that is being used, or like okay, probably this looks like an autofill type. Okay, this is like a form page. We'll search for, so you can search thoroughly. This will give you an idea. This is again de-obfuscation. So this will obfuscate the code. Okay, de-obfuscate the code. So probably if there is anything obfuscated, so you'll get it in de-obfuscated mode. So this also helps in de-obfuscation. So yeah, this is all the basics of the static analysis. Uh, we'll see further how the insecure platform usage, or the uh, code and uh, insecure design, and we'll see all the mobile application OWASP top 10, and vulnerabilities we'll discuss more there. So that's all for this video. Thank you, and let's look out for the dynamic analysis in the next video. Thank you guys. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.